Hey everybody, I'm Greg Soul and welcome to another CIQ demo. So today I'm going to be showing you how to use Ascender to transition a CentOS 7 box over to a Rocky 8 box. Yes, it's possible. Now I'm going to pop into Ascender, I'm going to fire it all off, and then once it's completed, I'm going to show a few of the steps we'll kind of walk through. I do need to tell you there are some caveats. The more vanilla a system happens to be, right? So it's using kind of like standard Apple packages, things like that. The more likely the transition will be successful, right? I can't guarantee anything, especially as you start kind of diverging off and start doing custom things. It might be less successful. So just keep that in mind, right? This isn't the end all be all, but it can be a good tool to help you transition some machines. Let's begin with my Ascender here. I'm going to pop into job templates. I've already created the inventory for my CentOS boxes. Again, that's a big list of all the hosts I could operate against, projects, pulling in my repository. And my Git repository is public, and there will be an associated blog post with this video. If it's not out already, it will be shortly. Credentials, how to log into the box, template, that's how I'm bringing it all home. So I'm going to type in cent here to pull up all of my associated CentOS job templates and workflow job templates. Starting at the start here, you can see I have a bunch of small job templates. So that's one thing I always try to do is very discrete actions with my playbooks. That way I can kind of use them like Lego bricks, snap them together with workflows. So if you look right here, I've actually got some that say VM snapshot. That's because I have my infrastructure sitting on VMware. And so what I'm going to do is my CentOS 7 box, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a snapshot of it. Then I'm going to try and do the migration. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to restore it back, right? So now I've got kind of failover along with that. But you can see I have, here's my snapshot related ones. I've got a web server test one for actually testing to make sure everything transitioned correctly. And then I've got the actual migration playbook. And that one's the one that's using Elevate and Leap to make that change. But you see one down here that's called workflow. I will pop open the visualizer just to give you an idea. And each one of these little white boxes is actually a playbook. So what happens is when this workflow fires off, it first creates a snapshot. And then you see the green line, that means on success. I'm going to move over and then I'm going to run the migration. So this is actually going to do the Leap migration. If that fails for some reason, you see it follows the red line right here, it restores the snapshot. So it'll restore that snapshot and then delete it. So my CentOS 7 box is right back into the state it was like previous to any of this. So it's kind of fail over there. I could also, and I probably would do some notifications inside of there, right? Just to give everybody an idea of what happened. Now, say my migration works successfully, right? That completes, it's going to come over here to my testing suite. And this could be, you're testing a database server. Here I'm testing a web server. You could do all kinds of various tests that you want and get to reuse that for all kinds of different playbooks. So it's not just for this individual thing. Like a testing suite can be reused in lots of things. So say in the future you want to provision some new system. Well, guess what? Now you've got a testing suite you can hit it against. And you can, again, see that I have on failure, on success options here. So on failure, it's going to do the exact same thing. Restore the snapshot and then delete it, right? And then subsequently, you'd probably want to send a notification. If it is successful, in my case, I've got it here removing a snapshot, and that's because this is a demo environment. In a real live environment, I probably wouldn't actually remove this snapshot. I would keep it. So just because all of my tests said everything was successful, this process, it's moving a lot of pieces. So I would probably want to let it ride for a while, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks before I actually delete that snapshot. I digress. So let's go ahead and launch this. And that is easily done by clicking launch right here on the workflow. Now I could have clicked the rocket ship next to it, or I could have hit it via the API, right? Because there's a fully featured, fleshed out, I should say, API in here. Now that I have fired it off, you can see that it's starting to run in the boxes here because it jumped me straight over to the jobs menu. You can see this one already completed, so I could click on it and I can get more detailed information. If I want to, I can see all the output of that job run. If I go to the job section, it's going to show me the workflow running right here and then all of the subsequent ones. Now I should, if I tab over here, I can see my snap update, right? There's a snapshot that just got created. So I'm going to pop back. Again, this is a web server. This is the initial web page that you can see on it. Once we're completed all the way, the testing placeholder page is going to look a little bit different once it pulls the Rocky pages. So I will pop into the actual migration here. And this is where I'm going to pause it because this takes about 20 minutes to migrate this machine. And through the magic of editing, you don't have to watch any of that. So see you in a minute. All right, so the main migration playbook is completed and you can see the output here. First, I'm going to jump into jobs and I just want to look at the workflow diagram, right? So it looks like everything completed successfully all the way through, so I know it's good. Let's dive back into the individual migration playbook. And I can do that just by clicking again here and then going to output. So this will give you an idea of what happened inside of here, and I'll give you the kind of the quick and dirty rundown on here. So there is, and again, we will link to documentation, the Elevate documentation I built all this stuff from, but I kind of took some license in there. So the very first thing I do is I have a task that's checking to make sure I'm not running against this, running this against all of my hosts. It's always kind of a fear of mine that I will accidentally run it against all. So what I do is my playbooks say all in the host portion, and then I use the limit field. And so this is just a task that makes sure that that is exactly what I'm doing. I'm not running against everything. So first things first, you got to make sure that your CentOS box is updated. So you're really just doing kind of a yum update -y right here. And you can see if it has updated, it'll go ahead and do a reboot. I didn't require any of that. I'm already updated. Next, I'm grabbing the OS version. This is really just for kind of documentation purposes at the very end. Here I'm installing the Elevate package. After that, I install the Leap packages, and then I run the Leap pre-upgrade. So part of the Elevate system where it's calling Leap to do all this stuff, very first thing you do is pre-upgrade. And so it's going to kind of evaluate your CentOS system. It's going to take a look at it and give you recommendations on here are the things you need to do. Here are kind of the warnings, right? Like this has been deprecated, blah, blah, blah. Go through there and it generates this interesting report. So what I do is I run through that report right here, and I'm looking for everywhere where it has kind of a command recommendation. So for some of it, it will actually say, hey, this is kind of a showstopper. Here's the command you actually need to run prior to doing the full upgrade. And so I just have my playbook, this individual task right here, goes through and finds all of those commands and puts them in a list for me. So there are some standard pre-upgrade fixes they recommend for CentOS 7 systems. So I have those right here. So it's going to do those standard pre-upgrades. After that, I'm going to run through all the ones that it found in the report file. So all the ones I found in the report file, I'm going to run all of those here. And then I start the Leap upgrade process. So you can see that this all right here, these are actually timings of how long it took to do all this stuff. Those all go pretty fast. The pre-upgrade, I think, takes about 5 minutes or so to get through that whole report building process. But then when it actually does the Leap upgrade, that takes, I want to say that whole system takes about 10 minutes on its own right there, just to kind of run through the whole upgrade procedure. After it does that, you have to actually do a reboot. And a reboot takes another 5 to 8 minutes, somewhere in there, because as it reboots, it's actually going to start doing some of the migration. It'll pause, it'll reboot again. And the system will kind of automatically do this. It'll just kind of keep doing this until it's complete. And once it is, it will come up. I had to actually do a little fix here. So it changes the Python interpreter. After it goes from CentOS 7 to Rocky 8, it actually kind of changes that. And so I just adjust that variable here. And then I'm grabbing what current version I have so that I can spit it out on screen. So you can see we started with CentOS Linux 7 Core. After it was done with the upgrade, we've got Rocky Linux 8.8 Green Obsidian. Good to go. Let's pop over to the web server, do a refresh, and there you are. So it actually went from CentOS 7 to Rocky 8. It upgraded all those components. My web server is still up and available. Let me take a look at my system here. You can see that snap update is deleted because our workflow completed successfully. Remember, part of the workflow was if you run the migration successful, run the test successful, then go ahead and delete the snapshot. But again, if I was actually doing that in production, I probably wouldn't delete the snapshot. I would hang on to it for a little bit. But as you could see, it was pretty succinct. It is time consuming. If you look over here in the the right corner, you can see it took just under 19 minutes just for this individual playbook run to happen itself. The snapshots will take, 30 seconds to a minute. On those, the testing suite takes however long you bake in, right? It doesn't have kind of any set time, because I could have 5 controls I'm testing against. I could have 10, right? It's going to vary in your environment. I would love if you have any questions or comments to reach out to us. If you would tweak or tune or change this to fit your environment, I would love some interaction. Please reach out, talk to me. This is a lonely black void I'm screaming into. Please come back. If you are interested in support for Ascender, we do a great job of that. Stop counting nodes. If you know, you know. If nothing else, happy automating, happy elevating, happy leaping, and we'll see you next time. Bye.